Welcome to the Clinician's Corner, the go-to podcast for functional health practitioners who want to deepen their clinical skills and deliver exceptional client results. I'm your host, Margaret Floyd-Barry, Master Restorative Health Practitioner and Executive Director of the Institute of Restorative Health. Each week, I interview leading experts to bring you the latest research, case studies, and evidence-based strategies for reversing chronic disease with actionable insights you can implement immediately to elevate your practice and transform how you deliver health.
Hello, I'm Kristin Whitaker, stepping in for our beloved Margaret Floyd-Barry, and I'm thrilled to be here for a casual, kind of unscripted conversation with an incredible practitioner and person, Courtenay Fisher. We're so glad you're here today, Courtenay.
Thank you.
So, in her own words, Courtenay says she's a reformed lawyer who felt called to this work, which I can't wait to hear about, after years of seeking answers for your own health challenges. Courtenay trained as a functional nutrition therapy practitioner and a master restorative health practitioner, operating her own functional nutrition practice before jumping at the chance to join the IRH teaching staff and becoming part of A Balanced Table's functional nutrition team. Her passion extends to the community. She also served as the PTA wellness coordinator at her kids' school, implementing countless wellness-based initiatives. And I know wherever Courtenay goes, you elevate the health of everyone around you. So everyone inside the IRH community knows Courtenay as a warm and approachable instructor, a fountain of clinical knowledge, but also compassionate insights. You are so good at teaching really complex concepts and making it usable for people who might struggle with these high level of detail. And then also you're a great example of what this work looks like in different modalities of practice. You've experienced it in your own health, so on the maybe client and receiving side of it, you use these methods with your family. You've had the perspective of working in your own practice and as part of a team. So I would love to get into that and what your day-to-day looks like with these different avenues for professional practice. I know a lot of our audience are still looking for what theirs is going to look like. But first, before we get into all that, I'd love for you to share kind of your origin story or the winding path that brought you to this space.
Oh boy. Yes, thank you for that nice introduction. I appreciate those kind words. I'm not sure I feel like I fully deserve all of them, but I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely you do.
So yes, I will try to be not go down too many winding roads here, but I think like a lot of us, I mean, I can go back to even when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in college. I had a period where I thought I was going to be pre-med. And even before that, I wanted to be a veterinarian. That's really what, when I was a kid, that was my dream, was to be a veterinarian. I love animals. I always have. I was always trying to figure out how to take care of our animals if anything was wrong. And that shifted a little bit as I was finding my way. Like I said, I thought I might go pre-med in college. Ended up, this is actually kind of interesting overlay too of some family experiences, family medical issues that pulled me away from school. As a result, I got a bad grade in a science lab. And I was at this point where I was just really unsure of myself. And I thought that meant I was not going to be successful in getting into medical school or continuing down that path. So I shifted that, and I ended up with a double major in various business things. So I was a business major, but a human resources marketing, those types of fields, which are kind of funny because I was not great. I didn't feel confident in communicating, like marketing, and the whole flashy marketing world was definitely not something I felt necessarily suited to. But I think I was just trying out different things, trying to figure out where I fit in. But when I was graduating, I wasn't ready to be done with school. I loved learning, and I felt like there was more for me to learn. And my stepdad is a lawyer, beloved, local lawyer, and I decided to go to law school. So, but part of that was also because I had seen my parents when I was younger navigating the legal world going through a divorce, being a kid who had lived through that, I wanted to help other families navigate that road. So I went to law school. I was a legal intern in family court. And I realized really quickly that I was not emotionally ready to handle that. And so when I graduated, I ended up shifting to another area of interest, which was development, real estate development, planning, zoning, making places that are great for people, like great experiences, great places to live in. That's what I thought I wanted to do. And then again, I realized that practicing law at a big firm was not good for my health. I was younger, I had gone straight through college and law school. And in that world, confidence and experience and, at the time, this was probably my own, some of my own confidence issues. I felt that being a younger, small woman in that genre, it was difficult. It was at least a challenge for me. And I worked for some people who were very difficult. It took a huge toll on my health. And I practiced for many years successfully, but started to experience more and more health issues that I felt were impacting not just my own health, but also my practice. And that, again, like, it just kept hitting on my confidence. So after my kids were born, after my son was born, we had moved, we didn't have family. I decided that it was just I needed a break. I needed to figure out a different way. And so I stepped out of practice, to sort of give myself time to take care of myself, my family, figure out where I wanted to go from there. And that was there's a lot in between there. That's when I started doing school wellness. I was really focusing on my kids and my family. But I realized that as I was helping to address my own health issues, I wanted to be able to help others. Again, this was like this desire to help others navigate through those challenges faster than I had. How can I help one person not experience, not struggle the way I did? And that eventually led me to find Nutritional Therapy Association, and formerly, IRH, but formerly RWS. I met Margaret and Anne at an NTA conference, and I knew for sure that this is where I wanted to end up. That I wanted the training that would give me the confidence to help as many people as possible. And so ending up as part of the teaching team and now part of the leadership team is something I didn't even dream of. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to not only help my own clients, but to help others help their clients and themselves.
Right. Well, and then to look at the sphere of influence you have now. So one thing I neglected to mention is that you were my level 1 instructor. When I began it was restorative wellness then, right? And I was overwhelmed and fumbling, and there was Courtenay to help me not feel stupid and to walk me through it. And you have a real gift of getting in that space with people. I imagine whether it's a client or whether it's a student that you're mentoring, and you have a great way of doing that. So it's cool for me to hear you experience that. That's what drew you into law. That's what drew you into this work. And something you said that caught my interest was that you weren't emotionally ready to step into that space, helping people legally with issues that you'd experienced yourself. How do you step into that space in this work? It can be very emotionally draining to have a complex case in a client who's suffering. And tell me a little bit about how you manage that.
That's such an intuitive and great pickup on your part. But my immediate reaction is, how can I not? Because, right? I mean, a lot of us probably feel this, and I know we're the same way. Like, I had to learn to rein it in, because when we see what we can do, we can see how we can help people. It's just it's such an instinct to maybe provide sometimes too much information or be too eager to help. And that was very much an evolution that I had to go through, because, it's when I did my Enneagram and I read it, I almost cried, because I was like, this is describing me to a T. It's like, you're so compelled to help people when you have the information and the ability, but that doesn't mean they're ready to receive it. And so learning that the interplay of those two pieces, I think, was really, really important for me. And it's similar with students, even, I think, helping other practitioners to understand that we want to help as many people as possible. We want to know as much as possible, as quickly as possible. But there are these layers of learning and understanding how to use those tools, how they can be a benefit, but how also sometimes they're too much, and we have to use restraint and patience.
I hear you say in lectures quite often that we need to meet people where they are. I imagine that's part of this process of what are they ready to receive, and where do I want them to end up?
Absolutely. Because we could create, we say this all the time, we can create the perfect protocol, but if someone's not ready for it, whether that's emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of the things, it's not the right protocol for them yet.
That makes me think of, so I'm still living in that space, like the reformed lawyer. I can imagine from going from law to this work, and I see things that are common and things that are different. Like when I think law, I think analytical, black and white in theory, but there's a lot of gray and nuance, right? Which makes it a really rough practice. So in some regards, what do you see similar in the nutrition industry, in the wellness world, and what differs? Let me reframe that. What serves you from that previous profession that has translated well into this work?
I think that the way that going through law school and practicing law teaches you to approach things methodically, to have a process, right? To have an understanding and a strategy, whatever you want to call it, is really important. To be willing to stop and assess before we just charge ahead, right? Because this is part of what we teach students to do, right? You take the client's history, and that's all of the things that we learn about that person. Take in all that information, and you start to make associations, whether right or wrong, based on that information that you have. That's, based on the first sort of bucket of information that we get. And it's easy to form associations, or to maybe, and it's not that they're wrong, but they're based on just that first grouping of information that we have. So being willing to then continue to gather more information as it's appropriate, with whatever testing we decide to do, or whatever additional follow-up questions we need, or just letting the information sit and kind of like, roll around in your brain and think about, well, I made these associations, but what did I forget? Like, what else could I consider that might be at play here? And giving yourself the opportunity to then adjust your conclusions and take them deeper, still within that same framework, still, staying kind of on track, to just further deepen your analysis and the insights that you can provide for that client and the work you're going to do for them.
That's so well said. I'm just experiencing you in this space talking about this, and it's powerful to me. And I wonder if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were 20 and see what you're doing now, knowing you can't change your path, but you could have a window into your day now and have a conversation with this Courtenay now. What would surprise you about what you're doing right now, what your profession looks like?
Oh, I would be so much less stressed about what should I do, where should I go, how should I get there, because it's like so many things in life when you look back, to be appreciative of all the things that brought you to where you are and all that you have. You're going to make me tear up, because did not expect that. I mean, I met my husband because I was practicing. We were at the same firm. We were in different practice groups. But I would like to think that I would have met him anyway, but I met him there. I have my kids because of him. I have this perspective on really what's important, because I had to step back from a career that I probably chose to please a lot of other people in my life, being the smart kid, being, from like back in high school when they created the talented and gifted program at my school. And I was in that first program, and that was like, it became my identity because my parents were happy when I was doing things like that. And, made my family happy, even if there were other things maybe going on, and feeling like I had to uphold that role. But then going through this process of acknowledging that career wasn't serving me or the people that I was not happy. So I wasn't probably doing my best work. And as my health issues started to, I was getting these horrible, I didn't really understand what was driving things like migraines and issues like that made it hard for me to perform, sometimes when it was really important to be mentally all there. But I can now take that and have grace, give myself grace, but also give my kids grace for hopefully making choices to do things that they really love. It doesn't mean that I'm always great at that. As parents, we all know, you're still trying to keep them on the right path. But I think that all of those different pieces have given me perspective and empathy for everybody in my life, family, clients, all of those things. It may not come across that way because, again, that Enneagram personality and I told you the things to do, why aren't you doing them? That's definitely going to come through. And at my root, I am that type A firstborn, trying to do all of the things right. But I've tried to add on these layers of perspective, like I said, of the right thing is going to depend on all of the circumstances, not just what is black and white appears to be right. And yeah, I think that's an important thing that we can hopefully share with our students and other people in our circle.
Yeah, well, you are a great example of how all the moving pieces that got you here, they're part of the powerful practitioner and the influence you are in this space. So I'm looking at someone who's climbed the ranks at the Institute and is part of the leadership team that is mentoring instructors like myself. I would not be here without the work that you've done. And so all the clients that I help have in part you to thank for that. And you've become influential in a really exciting field. So we have an audience of people that are doing the same thing or looking to do the same thing and wondering, how do I get to be like a Courtenay? How can I use my professional experiences and the person I've become in this winding, twisty journey and start this kind of second or even third career, right? Yeah. But there's something about aligning with your passion when you found it. And I feel like the people pleasing and the avenues that opened up for you were all just a way to uncover this passion that you have. So would you speak to how passion is necessary and what happens when you mix the passion with the clinical skills? What can someone expect to achieve when you have both pieces of that puzzle?
Yeah, I think that it can help you to move through some of those roadblocks that we all tend to throw up for ourselves. Learning to continually try to address whatever might be holding you back I think some people will do that by feeling like they need to take another class or to learn more or to get in the right place. I need to work with somebody. I need to find a practice that will consider hiring me. But I think if you try to expand your mindset to not just thinking about yourself and how you might be perceived or what you might be lacking, or people might not think I know enough yet, and flip that around to how can I have the most impact? How can I help someone today? Like, who needs my A game today? I heard this in a podcast and I keep going back to this. Who needs my A game today? I mean, for me, the first answer to that is always my kids, my family. But I want to be a good example for them too. So, okay, now how do I give that? How do I translate that to doing my best for my clients, for all of you, all of the other instructors that I work with, all of the students that we serve and practitioners that we serve, and reminding myself that if I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out. And that's as you know, that's something that we're striving so hard to teach our students is we're teaching you this methodology that even if you don't remember every single detail, well, you've got it. You can go back and, go back through our materials and remind yourself, or you can reach out to the community and get support in all the different ways we offer. But also just that you do know enough. And if you just, take a minute, take that breath and think about it from that perspective of, if I don't show up, who's missing out? Like, how do I show up in a way that I'm being of service to whoever that is that needs something from you today? And I realize I got a little bit sidetracked, but you're right that when I was deciding to step away from my legal career, I never could have thought that, or never would have thought that it would have come full circle to be a benefit and been something that allows me to be part of the leadership team here and to help better support this organization that I love so much and all of the practitioners that we serve.
Hi friends, it's Margaret here with some news I am super excited to share with you. As many of you know, I am not just your podcast host. I am also the executive director of the Institute of Restorative Health. And for years, we have been getting the same request from practitioners everywhere. They'll say to me, I've heard incredible things about your clinical training programs, but I can't wait for your next certification cohort. Can I start learning now? Well, the answer is finally yes. And I couldn't be more thrilled about what this means for practitioners who are ready to transform how they approach client care. We are launching Mastering the Art and Science of Gastrointestinal Healing Core Curriculum Self-Study through the Institute of Restorative Health. This gives you immediate access to the foundational curriculum that has equipped over 1,400 certified practitioners worldwide. This is perfect if you're searching for the most effective approaches to help your clients feel better, faster, and get meaningful results. You're going to get all foundational training modules, curated Q&A sessions from previous cohorts, and dozens of real-world case studies, all at your own pace for 1 full year. Now, I want to be clear. This provides foundational knowledge and curriculum access. It's not comprehensive clinical training. You're not going to receive live instruction, the personalized mentorship, or the certification through the Institute of Restorative Health. Think of it as exploring our methodology before deciding on full certification. So for $1,400, you can dive in today instead of wondering whether our approach is right for you. And if you decide you want a complete certification experience later on, you can upgrade anytime, and we'll apply your investment towards that full certification tuition. Visit instituteofrestorativehealth.com to learn more and enroll in the core curriculum today. Your next breakthrough starts with understanding these foundations. The question is, are you ready to begin? Again, that's instituteofrestorativehealth.com. We'll see you there.
Yeah, incredible part of your story is when I hear you say you jumped at the chance to be on the instructor team and to be part of a practice, and what you're saying about showing up with your A game. Do you believe that opportunities show up if you show up? It feels like you were maybe you didn't have a clear vision of what this looked like. You just showed up every day and things opened up.
Yeah.
And you ended up where you belonged.
For sure. And it was also the decision, a couple of decisions that were really hard for me to invest in myself, to do some, not necessarily training or coaching programs, but some people who are listening may know Deborah Joy, who is someone Margaret has worked with, and she has been wonderful in bringing to our community. She has a program called the Success Solution that was really transformative for me in some of this mindset shift that I needed to do. And that put me in this space where I stopped questioning whether I knew enough. Like, should I, should I offer to support in various ways? I was always willing to just jump in any project that we needed done. Even if I wasn't 100% sure that I was the most qualified from the team, I was like, I'm going to figure it out. And that ended up serving me really well. And I'm, like I said, I'm just so grateful that I can continue to do that.
I love that. So I'm learning from you all the time, and I'm hearing repeated, just show up and bring your best and be ready and open for what's next. And practitioners listening now that might be like, grinding every day and they're not sure what it looks like, I just hear this encouragement of keep going, keep doing the best you can, enough, engage. And I love that. What I want to maybe wrap up and end with is, you've painted yourself as the smart kid, which none of us would argue with. You still present as the smart kid, and you're doing more than people pleasing now. You are actually transforming and elevating people now in a very real way that I very much respect about you. So to take it full circle, how do you show up for yourself? How in all these people that you're caring for and all these moving pieces and these different roles, you have busy working life and private life. How do you show up for yourself to make sure that you have what you need to keep bringing the A game?
Oh, you're actually making me accountable for this, right? Thank you for the reminder. That's because you're a good practitioner and you're such a kind person. I probably don't do it enough. Like a lot of us who are trying to take care of all the other people. But I will say I've gotten much better because I see you say this enough to clients. Hopefully it eventually sinks in a little bit more for ourselves. And I know that it was an important part of addressing a lot of my own health issues. But then as we start to feel better, right, we're like, well, but I can still push it a little bit. I think that I try to, one thing is being just grateful and, taking a minute at the end of the day to think about all of the, even if you're tired, right? Think about like all of the good things that have happened or the things that are just such blessings in our lives. I probably have an addiction to my pets. So they show up for me and they remind me to take a minute, and that's something that when I was practicing law, the thought of having a dog, or we had cats, but they were self-sufficient, right? Now I've got more cats than we can probably handle, and then we foster, but I know that I love that. And while it seems a little crazy sometimes to take on some of those additional responsibilities, it really serves me. I love it. And my kids love it too. So it's a nice thing for us to be able to do together. But yeah, learning to put some boundaries in place on things like not doing too much work after dinner. I should say, it would be nice to follow the advice that I often give clients of like literally trying to shut off. But sometimes when we're in a teaching cycle, it's just not possible. But doing a better job of setting, some of a lot of the boundaries that we talk about with people, bedtime, and keeping, holding space for exercise and overlapping that where I can with seeing friends and things like that. That's probably the way that I do that the most.
I love that. So I hear you saying, take the medicine that you're dishing out to other people, listen to your own advice. And I really love that I saw little kid Courtney, who wanted to be a veterinarian, come out when you talked about how much you love to be with your pets. So I think that's really valuable advice that we probably all need. Thinking of our audience, we have current students and alumni, and we also have people who aren't part of the community, but we're all, healers in our own way, and we're all passionate about wellness. What message would you like to leave for them?
Oh boy, I would say, embrace all the different parts of your past and your experiences, because they make you who you are. They give you empathy for all of the interactions you have with other people. They're strengths that you don't even realize are there. And they just help you build and grow and evolve.
Oh, I love that. I think people will find this conversation very encouraging and empowering, which are two of your very most amazing and obvious strengths. You encourage and you empower other people, and you've done that for me. So thank you for being willing to share with us today, Courtenay. Take a break sometimes and breathe. So I hope after this, you'll take a break and treat yourself a little bit. Thank you very much, and thanks for listening with us today, and we'll catch you on another episode of Clinicians Corner.
Thanks, Kristin.